I want to talk to you tonight about the 10th Amendment. And we can speak about details and policy, things like that. I'd really like to discuss it in sort of a broader view tonight. But first I will say a little bit about some things I've been involved with and I'm aware are going on. Have heart, my fellow Texans, because we've got people in our state government led by Attorney General Greg Abbott that are ready to fire away at the Obama administration, Pelosi, Reid, and all those other hacks up in Washington, D.C. This last weekend I was at an event with Attorney General Abbott, and he laid out a clear case. I was at an event in Plano in February, and at that time AG Abbott said, if they pass any semblance of that health care bill, I will file suit. And indeed, the man is true to his word. 1 hour after President Obama signed it into law, Attorney General Abbott fired salvo. In 1780, Samuel Adams warned us that if ever a time should come when vain and aspiring men shall possess the highest seats of government, our country will stand in need of its experienced patriots to prevent its ruin. Well, folks, we have reached that point. I would say we're there. What do you think? Are we there? Absolutely. The time has come. I believe each one of us here tonight inherently knows it. We sense it. We're here because we're compelled to do something about what is happening to the United States of America. The current occupant of the White House ran on a campaign of change, right? Well, we didn't know what kind of change he meant exactly, most of us, but we can see now. Now the emperor has no clothes, and our tormentor stands naked in the light of day. We know exactly what he's about. We know exactly what kind of change he stands for. And I can tell you this, it is most decidedly at odds with the basic values and beliefs of the majority of the American people. Ladies and gentlemen, a new day has dawned in America. And we stand on the cusp of a new era. And trust me, you and I will help shape that era. We are doing so now. Our presence here tonight reflects this truth. We're gathered here in solidarity, and not just with citizens present at this locale tonight. No, we stand together with millions of Americans all across our great nation at hundreds, if not thousands, of events taking place on tax day, just like this one. We also stand with our nation's founders, their wisdom, and the brilliant system of government that they bequeath to all future generations of Americans. Standing on the shoulders of what we could call the original Tea Party patriots, we are gathered here once again tonight to send a message to those in the great halls of government. Enough is enough! Yeah! No longer will we stand idly by and subject ourselves to the whims of statist and powermongers who use the force, the overwhelming force of central government to usurp the Constitution's mandates of personal freedom and economic liberty. No longer.
Yes. Yes.
For all Texans, for all freedom-loving citizens in this great state, our mission is clear. It is time to reclaim what has always been ours. It is time to reclaim our sovereignty. The sovereignty granted to us by that most precious document, the United States Constitution. Well, for all the naysayers out there, the progressive politicians, the high-priced lawyers, the well-moneyed, powerful corporate interest, and certainly the know-nothing media, don't tell me the Constitution is irrelevant or insignificant today. Do not tell me it is some dynamic or living thing, only to be interpreted so loosely as to render its intent meaningless.
Yes.
Do not pretend that the average American, you and I, aren't sophisticated enough to understand it. We understand it just fine, don't we? I tell you who doesn't understand it. I tell you who has the problem. It's the federal government that no longer understands the Constitution. The courts certainly don't understand it. The heck with the judiciary system. Time and again they have misinterpreted the Supremacy Clause, the General Welfare Clause, and the Commerce Clause to knock down the sovereignty and the rights we have as individual states and peoples. This is how they justify the central government involving itself in virtually every aspect of our lives. No longer. They have stacked each one of these affronts, each one of these usurpations of power, one on top of another, using the former to justify the next. Well, now I ask you, how can it be that if those first 10 amendments, our Bill of Rights, were necessarily added to the Constitution to ensure its ratification, how can it be that those other clauses that existed first within the body, the framework of the Constitution, how could it be that they were intended to trump the 10th Amendment? Clearly they were not. It is the other way around, and we have been misled.
Yes.
The 10th Amendment, I submit to you, it sums up the Bill of Rights, doesn't it? It serves as an explanation point.
Yes, sir.
As my friend Sheriff Richard Mack likes to say, quote, the 10th Amendment was a reminder to future generations of government that just in case you think we left something out, you can't do that either. And by the way, who did the ratifying? Who ratified our Constitution? It was the states.
Yes, sir.
Each one of them independently within their own state houses. The 13 nation states ratified the Constitution. It was the states that breathed life into our federal government. They created it. 13 separate entities which were sovereign in their own right. And you want to convince me, our opponents, that the federal government itself is to be the final arbiter of its own limitations. Are you kidding me? That's turning common sense and everything our nation was built upon on its head.
Oh, no.
That's what they would have us believe. Well, it's utter nonsense, I say, my friends, because the pure essence of the Constitution, it shapes who we are as Americans. It guarantees us our inalienable rights. It ensured the very foundation that provided mankind the greatest leap forward in all of history, and it did it in 2 short centuries. It ensured the creation of the greatest level of prosperity that man has ever known. And if we want to hold on to it, folks, we've got to fight for it.
Yes. Yes.
Look, in its simplest terms, our Constitution was designed to limit government and in turn protect the rights of the people. Limited government and a free people. They are inextricably intertwined. You cannot have one without the other. And at the cost of sounding radical, the truth is this. The wholesale abandonment of our Constitution by the federal government has reached unacceptable levels. Today, they routinely operate beyond legitimate authority, making it up as they go along.